Welcome back to Ultra for another video. So here we go, the update to the ozone unit. This video is going to be quite information heavy, so I've tried to keep it as light as possible and not get too bogged down in some bits, but again try to give enough information for people to draw their own conclusions. What I've done is I've broken the video into different parts. I've got a bit where I'm going to go through how you measure it, what ozone does to the water, how you can see what levels you've got in there, and then the sort of breakdown of that. I'll talk about the running costs of the unit a bit later on. I'll show you the meter that I've bought from eBay. I'll also pop the link in the description to the inexpensive meter that I've bought to keep an eye on it. So yeah, the first thing I want to do is just talk about Ecofiltration, the manufacturers and wholesaler of this unit. So just to make it abundantly clear, I've got no affiliation with this company. I am a customer, just as all of you are. I'd only discovered them a few weeks ago after seeing the leaflets, well, probably a few months ago now to be fair, and thought I'd give it a go. So there's no benefit in me pushing this unit for them, from my point of view, etc. I have, since the last video, I've had a discussion with Sam at Ecofiltration just to ask a few questions of the manufacturer. So I'll give a little breakdown on that. And I've also got some really good, exciting news on a giveaway. So we'll cover that probably in a separate video, but I will just mention it today as well. So first thing is, as I said, I had a chat with Sam, CEO or the owner of the company Ecofiltration, to talk about this unit specifically. Sam's very passionate about ozone. He's been trying to push it a little bit more within the pond space for 20 odd years. He has faced constant battles. You only have to have a look around at some of the misinformation that flies around ozone to understand that there is a lot of fear about it, and rightly so. People don't understand things. They genuinely are a bit fearful, a bit sceptical, which is human nature and the right way to be. So when we talk about the unit itself, which is this ozone unit, this is the Mark II ozone air purifier unit. They've been marketing this in terms of the Mark I and now the Mark II for about 15 years across Europe. They've had quite a good success rate across Europe with the item in pond space, as well as in hot tubs, pools, etc. And they've only sort of recently, over the last few years, started pushing it more in the UK market, trying to advertise it a bit more. From their point of view, just to clarify, there was a comment on my last video. You don't put this unit for its output to be anywhere near you want biological filtration to happen. The whole point of the unit is to destroy bacteria in the water, and it doesn't discriminate between those bacteria. The good, the bad, the ugly, the pretty, whatever it gets to first, it will destroy. So do not put it in a moving fluidized bed. If you want to put it in a mechanical filtration part, that's fine, you can do that, just don't expect any biological filtration from that element. Obviously, all mechanical will give you a bit of bio, generally as it does its job. So, moving away from that, that's today in terms of my findings. I'm going to share those with you, what I've been doing with it. I'll do a little conclusion at the end just to sum up again what I'm having out of it. I am testing this myself. Obviously, I haven't gone to any extremes yet, and I will be doing some more in-depth stuff as we go further down the line with it. But yeah, that's where we're at. So when it comes to the actual unit itself and the research on it, I'm going to talk about some of the research generally in ozone, but also having a chat with Sam. He is working with the university, this is Ecofiltration, trying to do a specific study on the use of ozone in koi ponds and pond keeping. So there is no time frame on that, but again, something they're looking at doing to try and alleviate some of these fears that are out there, and give people the proper guidance on how to use these properly. So, like I said, no time frame on that, but it is something that they're working on. So that's that'll be really interesting when we get hold of that information. From my point of view, what I will stress is I've got a particular use for this. As I've said many times before in previous videos, I don't have a massive pond. I've got 3,000 litres in total of the whole thing, the filter and my tub. I want to enjoy keeping big koi, big high quality koi, by growing them on myself. and I want to keep as many as possible. Overcrowding, I think, is something that is worth talking about. I mean, I'm sure all of us are probably overcrowded if you look at what guidance figures are for fish keeping. Your capacity, I mean, some people say it's like 35 gallons per inch of fish. There's other square footage ideas or sums that you can do out there. But it all basically it pretty much adds up to most of us being overstocked. I know I am extremely overstocked for my tiny amount of water, for the size of my fish and the amount of my fish. Don't underestimate how much waste fish that have grown, doubled and tripled in size put out compared to what they were smaller. That's always something that catches me out. So the ozone for me is a way of getting the dissolved organics out of the water, and we'll talk about dissolved organics later. The main benefit that I have seen that is visible to the eye is the clarity of my water. It is a lot clearer. It's a really dingy day today, but it is a lot clearer. I can always see the bottom no matter what time of week I am at water change. This is just due a water change. The other elements, it has increased my gaps between water changes. So as you know, I've been trying to put more food in here than normal, trying different foods, but I was finding that I was having a lot of crashes that were causing my nitrite to spike quite highly, and I was effectively making the filter inefficient or killing off bacteria, and that was happening on quite a regular basis. The harder I tried to push the food, the harder the crashes would appear to be. So I've got this cheap meter off eBay, which again I'll show you the box, the unit itself. This does do TDS as well, it does salt, and it does pH, temperature, and it also does conductivity of the water. The reason I mention conductivity is that is a different measurement that some people get confused with. Conductivity measures the actual, well, like I said, the charges in the water, its ability to transfer the electric currents through it. That's not what we're measuring with ORP. ORP is done in millivolts, but I'm going to break that down properly for you, hopefully make it make sense. And what that's doing is it's telling us how much potential the water has got to oxidise if it's in an oxidative state. And again, I'll go through all that properly in a second. So let's get into this. So ORP stands for oxidation reduction potential, and this is how we keep an eye on what ozone we've got in the water. Basically how freely something oxidises. ORP is measured in millivolts, or MV, you'll see it on your meter. If you have a Google, that's exactly how you'll see it displayed as a measurement. And it's displayed as a minus or a negative. So you've got positive for oxidising and a negative for non-oxidising. So there's a range of stuff, and what I've done here is I've just listed the ones that are sort of really relevant to us. There are a lot more things that go on within the ORP scale, so have a look, do your own research, but for the purpose of what I'm doing, this is what I want to focus on. So nitrification happens between a range that's positive of 100 to around 350. We've got carbonaceous biological oxygen demand degradation, which is basically the breakdown and biodegrading of all your dead matter, the bacteria eating all your rotting algae, plants, fish waste, etc. Basically, a big word for decomposing. Then from your plus 50 to your minus 50, you've got denitrification, so that's your processing of nitrate into nitrogen gas, where it gases off at the surface. And then after that, you've got acid formation, basically fermentation, which is what you want to be avoiding when it comes to KH, etc., and pH, etc. So let's have a quick look at dissolved organics in the water. That's obviously what main use I'm using this for, is to get them out. So when it comes to dissolved organics, these can affect your fish appetite, stop them eating, put them off their food, etc. Not eating them as much as you want them to. The dissolved organic cells are food for bacteria in your water column, good or bad, and some of the dissolved organics can break down acidically, so they can affect your KH, which obviously affects your pH, gives you your crashes, affects your filter. So the reason I'm maintaining around the plus 250 zone is ideal for efficient nitrification. It's got less food for bacteria in the water, and then there's less demand on the oxygen as well, as the oxidation and that poshworth for decomposing we spoke about leaves higher dissolved oxygen levels in there, and they all happen within this range. The nitrification element, obviously, that's your ammonia into your nitrite into your nitrate. You want that to keep happening as efficiently as possible, and this is what I've seen during the terms of how my system has been crashing. It gets to a point, I think it just becomes saturated, or it gets acidic, something affects the KH, and it just starts the fall down of what's going on with the filter crashes. Also, with some of the measurements I took, my ORP reading dropped. I've had it at -50 at one point, so I'm well outside of the zone of nitrification, so my filter has stopped processing it, and then it's whether it's continued to kill off the bacteria or it's just not efficient, which I've definitely killed some off at different times. So the ozone, what it's doing is just keeping me in that level, so I'm not pushing it into the realms of what some people may suggest or would, and going up to 400, 450, 500, which again is still supposedly safe. It's just this is where I think is the sort of most efficient. The ozone in the water will still attack the bacteria, but it keeps everything running. And when we talk about research into this, there's loads out there, not specifically in koi keeping or carp keeping, but in fish farms in general. Quite a few studies around trout, specifically in salmon. Some of the trout ones are really interesting. You've got some, as far back as the early 90s, late 80s, that have been done, where low doses of ozone have been put in, sort of 25 grams of ozone per kilo of food, which has shown reduced incidence of bacterial gill diseases in the fish. You've got other studies as recent as 2011 that have shown the fish basically get bigger, quicker, to market size as they call it, in the same amount of time compared to bodies of water that don't have the ozone in it, with no seemingly adverse effects on the fish itself. There are differences between the control groups, but again, just it's worth having a look yourself, having a good read, understand it, so you do get an idea of what you're doing, what you're putting into the water. But it does seem there is nothing to worry about, and again, like I've said many times before, dosage is key. I'm basically, when I first started doing this, I was operating on the guise that I was going to stick in 3,000 milligrams of ozone just to combat the 300 grams of food that I'm trying to stick in each day to keep my water at a decent level. Not going for anything mad, not going for pure sterilisation. Again, sterilisation versus clarification is another topic. Anyone who's seen Quality in the Shigigoi's video recently, one of his customers has installed a swimming pool steriliser, which uses another type of oxidation to clean the pond, and that is sterilising it as well. So there's loads of different things out there. I think there is a general fear with some stuff, just because of a lack of understanding. But hopefully this has shed some light on that. So yeah, what I'll do is I'll show you the ORP meter that I've got. It's just a 7-in-1 unit. And I'll put the link in the description to it as well, and just show you it so you can all see it. There's loads of other things to discuss, and I've tried to keep this as to the point as possible, because you can go off wild tangents on it and you consider other elements. I've put the running costs in as well, so you can see how much a unit will cost you to run over the course of the year, so you've got that bit of information as well. I'm going to keep testing it. I'm going to keep seeing what results I get of it. But the summary for me is I've basically extended my water change period, the amount of water I'm changing in one hit, and I'm not having nitrite spikes. And I wonder how many people out there do have these nitrite spikes, if they're being caused by something like this, similar this could fix. So a bit of food for thought, and chucking it out there for everyone to have. So this is literally the ORP reader that I've got. It's a multi-tester, does pH, ORP, TDS, salt, salinity levels, etc. I'll chuck the link down in the description. Seems a fairly good bit of kit, giving it a good while to test. It comes pre-calibrated from the factory, seems to be pretty much nailed on. I know what my pH is and stuff, so I just test it against it. It was all fine. But it does come in the box with some calibration solutions, powders for you to be able to do it yourself as well. The instructions aren't the clearest though, I warn you. You're probably better off trying to follow the internet and some of the links that are around on different forums and from the providers themselves. But yeah, got it off eBay. £17 something I think it was. There's all sorts of different ones. I didn't realise actually how many different models there are and what sort of tests that they do. So yeah, you can have a look around, shop around. I was mainly interested in TDS, which is total dissolved solids, and ORP, which is oxidation reduction potential. So yeah, there you go. Okay, so this is the unit working in the water. So just put the probe in the water, you don't need to submerge the whole thing. Don't submerge the whole thing because it'll stop working. And then it will give you your millivolt reading and temperature. You can cycle through by the top button into different zones. You can go to TDS, pH, salt, etc. This is 6 o'clock in the morning. This hasn't had ozone on all throughout the night. I don't run it at night. So this will kick in during the day. So I currently run it for 4 hours. I do a 2-hour slot from 9 o'clock to 11. I then do another 2 hours throughout the day. I have gone up to 6 hours, so 6 hours in total. Obviously, total you can run it being 16 hours, and I change that over the course of a week or two. So I literally watch it for a week and I adjust it slowly. If I think I'm slightly too high or slightly too low, I'll give it more or less for the next week, because it does take a few days for it to sort of cycle around and bring itself to a constant level of some sort to stabilise. So yeah, the water is early, so the light's not great. Let me turn this off. Water is really good, really good. Yeah, spot on. The light, if there's good light in here, you see the bottom clearly, but you can see there's no cladding on the fish, etc. So hopefully you can pick that up. But yeah, there you go. That's the meter. That's how it works. I'll move on to some running costs. Right, so let's talk running costs. So these will be based on the fact that one day's max usage is 18 hours on and 6 hours off, so 3 hours on, 1 hour off. That's their maximum recommended usage. That would equate to 0.4p per every 18 hours you've got the unit on, which if you extrapolate that over the 7 days, so it's 126 hours, that's going to cost you 30p, so 30p a week basically. If you move that to a month, do it say 31 days, the biggest month we have, it's £1.34 every month you have it on, which is 558 hours. If you do that over the course of a year, assuming that that's based on 12 months at 31 days, which is slightly over, it's £16.07 for the year based on electricity costs. So your daily, weekly, your monthly, all adds up to your yearly cost of £16.07. And just a reminder, that is max usage if you're going to use it at that amount. On top of the electricity cost, the replacement control units are $29.99 each, and they are to be replaced at 6-month intervals. So if you add that into your electricity costs, then you're looking at £76 and 5p a year for your entire running cost. That is electric and your control units, replacing them twice. If you don't run it at the full whack, obviously it will be less. For example, if you're only running it for 4 hours or 5 hours a day, your replacement units are going to be much bigger intervals because you're not putting the wear and tear on it, and obviously your electric costs will be a lot lower. But I just thought I'd give an idea of, if you want to give it absolutely full beans, use it to the maximum that it is allowed to be used, that is what it's going to cost you. 8 watts the unit uses, not an awful lot of power at all. 8 watts is absolutely nothing, far less than a UV by comparison. So that's that. Just very quickly, something I thought about doing, I can show you as well how much water I'm changing. So I'm currently doing my water change, just started topping up. I have taken out that much. That's on one more bubble, so plus whatever in the centre chamber, that litre wise. I normally go down anywhere between this ring in the middle, or even down to the final ring, so well over a third to half of the water, sometimes more depending on what I'm doing. So changing a lot less as a result of having the ozone in to keep the dissolved solids down. While I was doing that and I was thinking about dissolved solids because I'm sad, I thought I'd just quickly show you this meter and the dissolved TDS, because I've shown you the ERP. So literally I've put it onto the TDS setting, and you can see my parts per million for my TDS, which is total dissolved solids, is around the 1700 mark. That is still really high. However, when I turned the ozone off for the week to test what I was like without doing it, or just over a week I think it was, my TDS went up to 5000. So I'm keeping my TDS in check, which is obviously everything that dissolves into the water column. The ozone's oxidising with it, binding to it, taking it out of the dissolved state, and it's able to be processed and filtered through better. So yeah, just wanted to share that. So like I said before, this isn't a golden ticket cure that fixes the ability for maintenance and for water changes. It doesn't, but it has lengthened the time between my water change, coupled with obviously the new food that I'm using, and it has meant that I'm not changing as much water in one go, which, you know, running cost wise, I'm on a water meter, is a very good story over a period of 6 months to a year. So works out a lot cheaper than to run the ozone than it does to keep replacing the amount of water that I was in one hit. So yeah, just like I said, wanted to show you it, just to give you an idea of what I have been doing, what I've been fiddling with. The only two real things I'm measuring are the TDS. This meter really quickly does just do, take it off hose, so it does salt, salinity level, and different. You can do it in the salinity level as you are doing it in a marine tank, or you can do it as we like to do it. So I've currently got a very minimal amount in there. That's just left from where I've done treatments in the past. And it also does your pH. So pop that in. You can see my pH is bang on, just a high 7s, so almost neutral. Ideally I'd like it to be neutral, but that's just our tap water around here. It comes out at 8 to 8.2 normally, so more than happy with that. Very small fluctuations is one thing I would say I've had compared to what I did get before. So I test differently now with a meter because it's easier, but throughout the course of a week my fluctutions are much smaller. I go from 7.7 up to 8.1, so not a lot of change in there, because I'm obviously getting no crashes, no acidic forming, but no acidic breakdown, which is obviously changing the KH, which is changing the pH value, and where it all starts to get a bit too complicated, to be honest. Yeah, don't number chase with it. I'm not. It probably seems that I am number chasing. I'm not. I'm just trying to find a reliable method of keeping my water clean over the course of a week or two, so I can carry on about my daily life and enjoy the big koi that I've got. So yeah, hopefully that gives you a bit of insight into the meter itself. So there we go. Now, just before I move into the conclusion and sort of recap everything we've gone through and add a few last bits, just wanted to share with you all, I am going to be doing a giveaway. Once I hit 750 subscribers, Ecofiltration have kindly supplied me with a unit to give away to one of you guys. So I will drop a separate video on that, very short one, just to explain how we're going to do it, how to enter, etc. But yeah, someone will have an opportunity to win one of these units in a giveaway on this channel. So massive thank you to Ecofiltration for supplying that unit. And like I said, good chance for anyone who wants one, maybe can't get one at the minute because of supply issues, etc., to nab one. So drop a separate video and it will explain how to do it. Also, new camera angle, try and get a bit of height on the fish so you can see them better. So hopefully you found that useful. Like I said, I am still testing this. I'm going to try some other things. I want to make it clear that, you know, just because I'm saying this is working for me, it may not work for everybody. It's working for my specific use. It's really interesting when it comes to dissolved organics and what it's allowing me to do with my feeding, with the amount of fish. Something dealers may find interesting. There are dealers out there who already use ozone and use it quite effectively, so go and have a look at those guys yourself, ask those questions. What I would say is I don't know at the moment, and it's something I'm going to look at in future. As I said, this unit My dad has got one on his outdoor pond that's around 2,000 gallons. I don't know how that transfers in terms of the gallonage, in terms of the dosage rate. Obviously this is a very small unit, like I keep saying. I am doing it on the basis that I'm putting in 10 milligrams of ozone for every gram of food that I put in, which also actually in my instance I'm putting 300 grams of food. It means I'm putting in 3,000 milligrams of ozone during the course of the day, which actually also means I'm putting a milligram per litre, which is another way that you can try and work it out. So in theory I'm running it up to, on occasion, 6 hours a day, somewhere between 6 and 4, but 6 is for the full dose, and I do that depending on what the ORP meter is telling me. I just don't know how that would equate. So if you work it out and put it on the full 16 hours that you can, you would effectively be dosing for an 1,800 gallon pond, 1,600 gallon pond roughly, at those dosage rates. Those dosage rates are purely something that I've tested. They're not official. They are something that I know is tried and tested in the marine space, but obviously marine space is different water. It is for a different use. I'm attacking this purely from a dissolved organics point of view. So I'm not going through as much water. My water stays cleaner longer. Fish are keeping their appetite, like I've said. And I'm also not feeding all that bad bacteria that's in the water. If you're taking away the bad bacteria, it's food, then you're obviously going to be killing that bad bacteria as well. Plus the benefit of the water that's exposed to the ozone being bound to instantly and killing everything that's free flowing in the column, which is, again, brilliant. Ideal scenario, would I like to have the ozone deployed in a final filter chamber? I think probably I would. Again, there's nothing wrong with what I'm doing. I have chatted with Sam at Ecofiltration on this point, laboured it quite a lot. They've tested this product to the nth degree. They've tested it on fry in a small aquarium space at high dosage, and they've not damaged any fish, they've not killed any fish. So they're happy that this can be injected. What I would say is, compared to other units, obviously this is a low-tech piece of kit in the sense that it costs £125. It doesn't have a pressurised separate chamber on it. It's not mixing, or it's not adding or transfusing the ozone into the water. It's just mixing the water together with the ozone in pure terms of a diffuser, just like an air stone. So the smaller the bubbles, the better, because you're going to get more going in. I think that's why this diffuser works quite nicely. I've got an idea, and again, anybody who's kept a freshwater aquarium and a planted tank, you can get CO2 diffusers. I'm going to have a look into the largest one of those I can get, because they give you a much finer diffusion bubble, to see if that makes any difference. But again, these will be tests I do in the future, and then what I plan to do over the next 6 months is take it up, ramp up my millivolt level even higher, and see what happens. To be honest, at the moment, I don't feel the need to do that. I'm getting what I need out of it. Keeping at the range I'm in, I'm keeping it safe. So there is just no real need. But like I said, this will all depend on your specific use, what you need from it, how you do. If I've got a quarantine tank, I do have a quarantine tank. I think what I'm going to be doing as a minimum is making sure I have an ozone connector on that. That's probably a good place to start for a lot of people. Killing any parasites, microorganisms, and to be clear on that, this ozone only kills microorganisms at the dosage we are using. They're simple-celled organisms. So yeah, it kills any viruses, parasites, anything waterborne bacteria, anything floating in that column. Just a good idea, I think, when you're talking about cleaning a body of water, cleaning new fish introductions. I made the point in my last video, people are very willing to put, fish in potassium permanganate. You're willing to use chloramine T, which these are all things that are designed to oxidise and damage natural life. So my view is why not do something at a lower dose, a far less dangerous dose, as a more of a preventative measure than wait until the fish is already highly stressed, under attack, and then giving it one of those horrendous baths. So again, I'm not, that's not me saying I'm against those. It's just I'm putting the point out there that people are willing to do these things that are highly dangerous in that sense, or highly dangerous to the fish. So maybe you could think about trying to do, some preventative measures that make you don't take a course of action. So Hopefully there's a lot of information. I hope I've caught everything. If you've got any questions, chuck them in the comments. I'll answer as best I can. Again, like I said just again before, I'm not affiliated with Ecofiltration or this unit. I'm purely a customer like everybody else who's looking at using one, and this is just my experiences. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you found it really useful. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, and I will speak to you all soon.